Have you ever stopped to think about the true value of your achievements? Does everything we chase and accumulate really bring peace? It seems like nowadays we're all caught in an endless race, after a better job, a bigger house, or the next big goal. But what if, in the end, all of it is just an illusion? Something that fills us momentarily but quickly fades? Today, I want to invite you to reflect on this. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon, one of the wisest and wealthiest men in history, shares that he too reached a point where he began to question everything he had achieved. Imagine someone who had it all: power, fame, immeasurable riches, and yet he realized something essential was still missing. So why does this pursuit of more never seem to be enough? In this video, we're going to explore Solomon's reflections on the value of life and death, and what he discovered about the true meaning of achievements and existence. If you feel like despite everything you've accomplished, there's still something missing, then this video is for you. Let's dive into what Solomon has to teach us about what really matters. By the end, you may find answers that bring more peace and meaning to your own path. To understand what led Solomon to question the meaning of life, we need to know a little more about who he was and what the book of Ecclesiastes represents. Solomon was a king of Israel, renowned for his unmatched wisdom and immense wealth. His reign was marked by peace and prosperity, earning him respect and admiration both from his people and other kingdoms. But despite having everything many of us consider essential for a fulfilling life, wealth, power, respect, and even the wisdom to make just decisions, Solomon reached a point where he began to question the true value of it all. This is where Ecclesiastes was born, a collection of profound reflections and existential questions about life's meaning, the worth of achievements, and the inevitability of death. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon lays bare his doubts, his frustration with the emptiness left by material accomplishments, and his yearning to find a deeper, lasting meaning. These are the same struggles many of us face today. Who hasn't wondered, does what I achieve really matter? This is what makes Ecclesiastes so timeless and powerful. Even after centuries, Solomon's questions mirror our own dilemmas and uncertainties. Now let's delve deeper into this journey and uncover what Solomon learned about the true value of our pursuits. Solomon had everything anyone could ever desire: wealth, power, wisdom, and the respect of his people. Yet he came to a surprising conclusion that left many perplexed. He declared, "Everything is meaningless." But what did he mean by that? In Ecclesiastes, Solomon reflects that despite accumulating riches and enjoying pleasures, none of it seemed to fill the void. He realized that no matter how much he achieved, the sense of fulfillment was fleeting, temporary. And how many of us have felt the same? We chase material possessions, status, and that elusive next big thing, only to find it never truly satisfies. For Solomon, the issue wasn't necessarily having wealth or enjoying life. The problem was the expectation that these things would provide ultimate meaning or complete happiness. He recognized that material pursuits couldn't address the deeper emptiness inside. Through Ecclesiastes, he warns us against this trap, the illusion that happiness is tied to accumulation. This warning from Solomon challenges us to question whether our own material pursuits truly bring us satisfaction. Are we investing in things that genuinely enrich our lives, or are we chasing something we can never fully grasp? Next, let's see how Solomon confronted another unavoidable truth, one that also shaped his perspective on life and achievements: mortality. The reality that regardless of status or wealth, we all share the same ultimate fate. In his journey of reflection, Solomon confronted a truth that is inevitable for all of us: death. In the book of Ecclesiastes, he describes death as the ultimate equalizer, the common fate of every human being, regardless of wealth, status, or achievements. This natural cycle where all return to dust deeply unsettled Solomon. For Solomon, death exposed the fragility of everything we strive for in life. After all, what's the point of amassing wealth or building empires if, in the end, the same destiny awaits us all? This realization prompted Solomon to reassess the value of life and question what is truly worth pursuing. He reminds us that none of what we achieve can accompany us when we leave this world. Perhaps this is one of Ecclesiastes' greatest lessons, that instead of being a source of despair, the reality of death can teach us to cherish the present and focus on what truly matters. Solomon invites us to approach life with humility, recognizing the brevity of our time here and the importance of making it meaningful. This awareness of life's finitude forces us to consider if we are spending our time and energy on the right things. Are we living merely to accumulate, or are we seeking something that holds value even in the face of death? Now let's explore how this understanding of life's impermanence inspired Solomon to live with a sense of urgency and purpose, a lesson that can help us redefine our priorities. When Solomon reflected on life's brevity, he realized the urgency of finding a true sense of purpose. If time is limited, we can't afford to spend our entire lives chasing things that don't hold lasting value. This awareness of mortality brought Solomon a profound shift in perspective, one that we can all learn from. He reminds us that recognizing the fleeting nature of life can lead us to value the present even more. What once seemed infinite, time, opportunities, suddenly becomes a precious resource. This shift encourages us to focus on what really matters and to make intentional choices that align with our deeper purpose. How often do we let the busyness of life overshadow what truly matters? Solomon's reflections on mortality challenge us to slow down and ask ourselves, are we prioritizing the things that truly bring meaning and peace? Or are we caught in the endless pursuit of things that fade? Solomon's wisdom teaches us to live with urgency, not in haste, but with intention. To dedicate time to what brings fulfillment, rather than chasing what leaves us empty. Next, let's explore what Solomon discovered about the source of true purpose and spiritual peace. A discovery that transformed his understanding of life. Throughout Ecclesiastes, Solomon reveals that the true meaning of life isn't found in external achievements, but in something much deeper: purpose and spiritual peace. After experiencing everything life had to offer, Solomon realized that lasting fulfillment could only come from a connection to something greater than himself. He writes about how material wealth, power, and even wisdom couldn't fill the void within him. So he turned inward, reflecting on spiritual truths and the role of God in his life. Solomon came to understand that life gains its meaning when we align ourselves with a higher purpose, a purpose that transcends what we can see or touch. This realization is incredibly relevant today. In a world filled with distractions and the constant chase for success, how often do we stop to ask ourselves, what truly gives me peace? What am I living for beyond what I achieve? Solomon invites us to seek purpose that is rooted in our identity, values, and connection with the divine. For Solomon, this spiritual peace was the key to understanding life's bigger picture. He encourages us to look beyond the temporary and invest in what brings lasting joy and fulfillment. It's about finding harmony between who we are and the lives we're building. What about you? Have you found your purpose? What brings you the kind of peace that Solomon describes? His reflections challenge us to live more consciously, making every moment count toward a meaningful and spiritually enriched life. Now, let's see how Solomon ties this understanding of purpose to something even simpler: living fully in the present. Sometimes the answer to life's big questions is right in front of us in the now. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon reminds us of something so simple yet often overlooked: the value of living in the present. He urges us to find joy in life's small, everyday moments, because they are gifts meant to be cherished. It sounds basic, but how often do we let the present slip away because we're too focused on the future or stuck in the past? Solomon encourages us to eat with gladness, to take pleasure in our work, and to value the people around us. While he acknowledges that life has its struggles, he also reminds us to embrace its simple pleasures. Why? Because these moments are divine gifts, meant to bring us genuine happiness. The truth is, many of us are so busy chasing bigger things that we forget to appreciate what we already have. Solomon's wisdom teaches us that happiness isn't only in what we seek, but also in what we choose to see in the here and now. What about you? Are you making time to enjoy the present? What joys in your life might be going unnoticed? Solomon's message is clear. When we connect with the present, we discover a new way of living, one filled with more peace, awareness, and gratitude. Now, let's take these reflections and turn them into practical lessons for our modern lives. How can Solomon's teachings guide us in today's fast-paced world? The reflections in Ecclesiastes aren't just philosophical, they offer practical lessons we can use in our daily lives. Even after centuries, Solomon's wisdom challenges us to live more intentionally and meaningfully. So, how can we apply these lessons in today's fast-paced world? First, Solomon teaches us to let go of excessive materialism. He realized that no amount of wealth or possessions could provide lasting happiness. In our modern world, where consumerism is constant, this message is more relevant than ever. Instead of focusing on what we don't have, Solomon encourages us to appreciate the value of what we already possess. Second, prioritize human connections. Solomon understood that life is too short to live disconnected or alone. He valued shared experiences and meaningful relationships. How often do we get so wrapped up in work or goals that we forget to nurture our connections with loved ones? Investing in relationships leaves a legacy far greater than any material possession. Lastly, balance future planning with living in the present. Of course, planning ahead is important, but as Solomon points out, the future is uncertain. We miss out on life's beauty when we focus too much on what's next. He encourages us to find joy in the present, in the meals we share, the work we do, and the moments that often go unnoticed. Solomon's wisdom is a guide to living with less pressure and more purpose. By focusing on what truly matters, relationships, presence, and gratitude, we can lead lives that feel lighter, fuller, and more meaningful. Now, let's bring this journey to a close with a reflection on the legacy we want to leave behind. After all, life's greatest meaning often lies in what we leave for others. As we reach the end of this journey through Solomon's reflections in Ecclesiastes, one profound question remains. What legacy do you want to leave behind? Solomon reminds us that wealth, titles, and even pleasures are fleeting. What truly matters is the impact we make on others and the peace we carry within ourselves. The greatest lesson from Solomon is that life doesn't need to be perfect to be meaningful. What counts is living with purpose, finding joy in the present, and building connections that leave lasting impressions. He shows us that time is limited, and that's what makes each moment so precious. So I ask you, what are you building with the time you have left? How can you transform your days into a life that truly matters? These are the questions that can lead us to a path of transformation and purpose. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who might also benefit from these reflections. Leave a comment below about the lesson that impacted you the most. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May you find peace and meaning in every step you take.